Hi everyone, and welcome back to another SunDevilSource 2 Minute Drill. I'm Gabby Chernoff. He's Chris Cartman. We're here following the wrap-up, the Saturday practice of the third week of spring football. This was another open evening practice here at the Kajikawa practice field under the lights. And Chris, Kenny Dillingham has been kind of calling all week for some of those younger guys to step up. It was a very scrimmage-heavy practice today, so we got to see a little bit of that coming to life. So who are some of those younger guys that were really stepping up?
Yeah, it was interesting. This was an opportunity, not just with the fans, but some of these players need to elevate their play. I really felt like Jaron Hamilton, the wide receiver from Alabama transfer, has had 2 good Saturdays in a row, better than he's maybe practiced on the Tuesday, Thursday practices. Nickname is Turbo because he's got some extra juice in the tank. He was hit on a vertical deep over by Sam Levitt. Beautiful ball. Beat Rodney Bimmage. Rodney Bimmage just had a very good spring. Raleek Brown has come on. I would say the quickness, his ability to run between the tackles has been pretty impressive. Derek Eusebio was very active tonight, catching the ball from Jeff Sims. I think that's a positive trend for him. Joseph Smith was a freshman cornerback. He had a cat corner blitz, and he made some really nice plays. I don't know that everyone that Dillingham was calling upon necessarily showed up. Montana Warren has been playing mostly nickel. He moved back to free safety, had probably the hit of the day coming up and taking out Corey Butler's legs on a ball that was a little bit high from Jeff Sims, still completed. But look, overall, to me, there was nobody that's been so stellar in these scrimmages that has been different than their Tuesday, Thursdays.
And with these scrimmages, which, by the way, tonight, most of the veterans, if not all the veterans and the starters, were given a day off from practice. It was a lot of the guys who were kind of lower in that depth chart. But something that was pretty glaringly obvious tonight was the false starts, and O-line coach Saga Tuatele was really getting on his guys about that over on the sideline. We did talk to Kenny Dillingham. He said, maybe not as bad as it looked just because of some things that they're trying to figure out with the defense.
Yeah, it's bad because he was putting a nice framing on it, which is not necessarily inaccurate. The D-line is doing some more movement and shifting in its installs, which that should be very interesting come the season. A lot of teams wouldn't even reveal that publicly. Dillingham said everybody's going to see it week 1 anyways, so he didn't really care about it. But that has included some cadence where they're vocalizing the shift, which has then led to some of these guys getting jittery. And really it's been the offensive tackles primarily. Xander Rugaroli had 2 today. He's also learning this offense as a transfer coming in from Nebraska. And a few other players also had 1. Tuitele definitely was getting into his group more than I had seen. But as you said earlier, really importantly is they didn't have their starters going. So this wasn't Ben Coleman, Kyle Scott, or Josh Atkins, and Maxie Honchor has been out for the spring with shoulder surgery. But so those guys have not been anywhere near as prone to these sorts of miscues in practices as the backups.
And now we're over halfway through spring football, so there's 2 weeks left in the spring football season. Chris, you recently wrote a Hot 11, so kind of just a few guys who have really stood out to you compared to expectations from the beginning of this spring season. So who are those kind of guys, and what has your take been on some of that?
Yeah, always like doing this. I think our audience loves it. It's a reflection of who has stood out the most compared to what I thought we'd see from them. And there have been some newcomers. Maki Stewart, offensive lineman. He looks like he's going to be special. I hesitate to use that word, but Maki Stewart has a chance to be a dude. He's 6'5", 350, going to need to lose some of that baby fat and get into better shape. But his movement skills, athleticism, how physical that he is with his blocking, very rare for a freshman. Also, other freshmen, AJ Ia, 6'6", 245 pounds. Wow, tight ends don't look like that typically. Harry Hassman, wide receiver from Texas, who I thought was really underrated, has gotten a lot of second-team reps and done well. Demarius Robinson, nicknamed Man, he's showed up with an attitude. He's got a swaggering sort of style about him. And then some returning players, Jeff Sims, had a very good start to the first spring, 2 weeks of spring ball. He had 2 interceptions on Thursday, kind of okay today, not great, but still pretty impressive. Clayton Smith, obviously one of ASU's most important defensive players. I think he's added size, strength. He's going to probably convert more of his pass rush opportunities this year than in the past. And then Jalen Clem, a guy who didn't play last year after a medical incident. He was in the hospital. They didn't know if he'd come back and what he would look like. And the drop-off has not really been much from where he was at last spring to now for how much that he took off. So that's some of the guys. Check out the others. SunDevilSource, you know the drill.
Yeah, well, if you want all of that analysis and probably a little bit more by yours truly here, be sure to subscribe to SunDevilSource. You can, of course, check that out on our website and all of our platforms. We'll have you covered through these last 2 weeks of spring football as well. So until Tuesday, Gabby Chernoff and Chris Cartman for SunDevilSource.